You've walked through the doors of countless churches across this nation, from the small, vibrant community halls to the grand, echoing cathedrals. You've heard the sermons, the passionate appeals, the urgent calls to honor God with your first fruits. You've seen the offering plates passed, the envelopes collected, the digital giving prompts flashing on screens. For years, perhaps, you've wrestled with a question that echoes quietly in the back of your mind. A question about giving, about obligation, about a hidden truth behind the mechanics of the offering. This isn't just about a percentage, it's about a posture. It's about the silent transaction that happens long before any dollar ever leaves your hand. You might feel a subtle pressure, a quiet guilt that whispers if you're doing enough, or if you're doing it right, or perhaps a deep nagging confusion about what true tithing, true sacrificial giving really signifies in the eyes of the divine. You've tried to understand, to reconcile the ancient command with the often complex realities of modern life, with your own budget, your own struggles. The numbers, the percentages, the endless debates, they can become a heavy weight, a cold calculation, a source of anxiety, rather than the promised liberation. They can overshadow the very essence of what giving was meant to be. But what if the ledger we're often shown, the one meticulously balanced in human hands, isn't the one that truly matters in the eternal scheme of things? What if there's a deeper accounting, an invisible tally that transcends the visible? What if the upper room call beckons us past this superficial exchange of currency for blessing, into a sacred space where he isn't primarily counting coins, but something infinitely more profound? Something that touches the very core of who you are, what you value, and where your ultimate allegiance lies. What if everything you thought you knew about giving, about obligation, about the divine expectation, was merely a shadow of a far grander, more intimate reality? A reality that shifts your entire perspective, not just on your wallet, but on your very soul, on your purpose, on your relationship with the Creator. It's a truth whispered through centuries, a truth embedded in the very fabric of divine love, yet so often lost in the clamor of custom, in the noise of institutional demands. Heaven sees the heart. This profound, unchanging truth. Yes, heaven sees the heart. It sees beyond the outward show, beyond the compliance, into the secret chambers of your motives. Before we journey deeper into this understanding, into this quiet conviction, if you are truly present in this moment, if you are ready to listen with more than just your ears, with a spirit open to receive a truth that might challenge and transform, type "My heart is open" in the comments below. This isn't just a casual click or a fleeting thought. It's a sacred gesture, a silent vow, a declaration of your conscious presence, your readiness to look past the surface and embrace a deeper, more authentic understanding of what it means to give. Stay with us, not for quick fixes or comfortable reassurances that simply validate your current comfort. Stay with us for a clarity that cuts through the noise, a truth that disarms the anxieties, that liberates you from the burden of misunderstanding. Stay for a revelation that heaven never failed to know. A truth that Leonard Ravenhill, in his profound urgency and uncompromising call to holiness, often hinted at. This isn't about condemnation. It's about liberation. It's about discovering what God is truly looking for, beyond the tangible, beyond the transactional, beyond the mere act of giving. It's about finding the freedom in surrender, the power in a pure intention, the joy in a heart fully yielded. You are invited to peel back the layers of tradition and expectation, to see beyond the common understanding, to step into a space where giving transforms from obligation to pure, unadulterated worship. It's a journey into the quiet conviction, away from the clamor of custom, towards a living, breathing presence that permeates every aspect of your life. This path asks for your presence, your introspection, your willingness to re-examine not just your finances, but your very priorities, your true allegiances. Where does your treasure truly lie? We're not seeking to change your mind by force, but to open your eyes to what has always been true, to what has always been seen. Heaven sees the heart, and it's calling you to a deeper understanding, a more authentic practice, a life that truly reflects the divine economy. You've learned to navigate a world that often measures worth by what you accumulate, by the balance in your account, by the outward display of success. This same lens, subtly, insidiously, can distort your view of spiritual giving. You're told to give your 10%, to honor God, to unlock blessings. And yes, there is truth in honoring God with your resources. But the upper room call beckons us past this transactional, superficial exchange. It calls you into a space where He isn't primarily counting coins, but something infinitely more profound. He isn't looking for your money. He's looking for you. Consider the quiet desperation you might feel when bills pile up, when the market dips, when the future feels uncertain. In those moments, the idea of giving 10% can feel like a heavy burden, an impossible command. You might calculate, you might budget, you might even begrudgingly write the check, hoping that by fulfilling the requirement, you'll somehow earn favor, or at least avoid judgment. But is that truly giving? Is that the heart God desires? Leonard Ravenhill, a voice that thundered with divine urgency, understood this distinction with piercing clarity. He wasn't interested in superficial piety or comfortable religion. He spoke of a God who demands everything, not because He needs anything, but because He knows that only in full surrender do we find true life. He challenged the very notion of a faith that was content with outward forms, while the inner man remained untouched, unchanged. He would have pointed you past the collection plate, past the offering envelope, to the inner sanctuary of your motives. It's not about the dollar amount you place in the offering. It's not about the public display of your generosity. It's not about fulfilling a mandate to earn a blessing. It's not about the percentage meticulously calculated. It's about the heart that gives, the spirit that surrenders, the intention that flows from love. Do you give because you feel obligated, or because you are overwhelmed by gratitude? Do you give out of fear of what might happen if you don't, or out of faith in a God who has already given everything? Is your giving a calculated risk or a joyful response? Are you handing over a portion of your income, or are you offering a piece of your very soul? This isn't a theological debate about numbers. It's a spiritual X-ray of your allegiance. It's about understanding that God isn't looking for your money. He's looking for you, your time, your talent, your very being, your complete trust. He seeks a heart so captivated by His love that giving becomes a natural, joyful overflow, not a burdensome duty. He desires a life that sees every resource, every possession, every moment as His to begin with, held in stewardship, offered back with willing hands. And here's the counter-cultural insight that will shift your perspective entirely. What if true tithing isn't about the amount you give, but the attachment you break? What if it's not about the transfer of funds, but the transformation of your inner landscape? This deeper truth, this radical reorientation, is what the upper room call invites you to explore, to live. If this message resonates, if you feel a stirring within you, a desire for this kind of authentic, unburdened giving, then let your agreement be known. Take a moment, right now, to simply tap the like button. It's not just a click, it's a quiet acknowledgement, a human gesture that helps this message reach others who are also wrestling with these questions, who are also yearning for a deeper truth beyond the superficial. It's a way of saying, yes, this matters. This needs to be heard. Because ultimately, heaven sees the heart, always has, always will, and it's beckoning you to align your heart, not just your ledger, with its eternal perspective. It's calling you to a freedom found, not in accumulating, but in releasing, not in hoarding, but in sharing, not in obligation, but in love. A love that understands the profound truth that God isn't looking for your money, He's looking for you. You see, for too long, the narrative around giving has been framed by external metrics, by what you do, by what you transfer. But the divine economy operates on a different ledger. It's not a question of how much you put in the plate, but how much of you've held back. It's not the dollar amount that truly registers. It's the degree of release, the depth of your devotion. Think of the story of the widow, the one with 2 small copper coins. To the world, her offering was insignificant, barely a whisper in the clamor of the temple treasury. But the master saw past the meager sum. He saw a heart completely unburdened by attachment, a soul that held nothing back, even in her poverty. She didn't give from her surplus, she gave her all. Her act wasn't a transfer of funds. It was a profound transformation of her entire being, a declaration of absolute trust. She wasn't just giving money, she was giving herself, her last shred of perceived security, into the hands of a faithful God. Now, contrast that with the wealthy, who gave large sums from their abundance. Their gifts were substantial, impressive to the eye. Yet, if their hearts remained tethered to their vast fortunes, if their giving was a calculated act to maintain appearances or to accumulate blessings, then what did heaven truly see? A transaction, yes, but not necessarily a transformation. Not a full surrender. The money moved, but the inner landscape, the true allegiance, remained unchanged. This is the radical reorientation. This is the truth that cuts through the noise. When you stop counting the cost, you begin to truly live. When you release the grip of fear, you discover the abundance that already surrounds you. When you understand that true security isn't found in your bank account, but in the heart of God, you become unshakable. When you embrace the truth that every resource, every moment, every talent is already His, you find freedom in stewardship. When your giving becomes a natural echo of a heart captivated by His love, it stops being a burden and becomes a blessing. When your life itself becomes the offering, you unlock a dimension of purpose you never knew existed. This journey calls for a commitment, a sacred vow whispered not to an audience, but to the Almighty. Will you choose the quiet conviction over the clamor of custom? Will you open your hands and your heart completely, not just to give, but to receive the abundant life He offers? It's a call to examine your ledger, not just of finances, but of priorities, to truly see where your treasure lies. If this truth resonates with the deepest parts of your spirit, if you are ready to make this shift from mere transfer to profound transformation, then write "My Life, His Offering" in the comments below. Let this be more than just words. Let it be an act of public decision, an intimate vow made before heaven, sealing your commitment to this deeper understanding. Someone you know needs to hear this. Someone you care about is wrestling with the same questions, feeling the same pressures, longing for this same clarity. Don't let this message stop with you. Share this video right now with that one person who immediately came to mind. Share it not for numbers, but as an act of responsibility, an extension of your care, a quiet invitation to a liberating truth. And if you want to walk this path with us, if you desire to cultivate a life where every act of giving becomes a testimony to a heart truly surrendered, then subscribe to the Upper Room Call. This isn't just about clicking a button. It's an agreement to journey with a community that yearns for authentic, purifying fire. to explore weekly practices that align your daily life with eternal truths. It's a commitment to continuity, to a sustained pursuit of His presence, a space where we unpack what it truly means to live a surrendered life. This is a movement away from the noise, towards the profound peace of His presence. It's a journey from convenience to the cross, from custom to a living, breathing presence that permeates every aspect of your life. Heaven sees the heart, and it beckons you to a holiness that shines not in grand displays, but in the quiet consistency of a surrendered life. We're not done yet. There is a simple, tangible path forward, practical steps you can take, starting tomorrow, to integrate this truth into the very fabric of your existence. Stay with us as we unpack how to live this out, how to truly make your life a living offering, a vibrant flame burning brightly in the quiet corners of your existence. The journey isn't just about hearing, it's about doing. It's about taking this quiet conviction, this understanding that God isn't looking for your money, but for you, and weaving it into the fabric of your everyday life. This is where the transformation truly begins, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet consistency of a surrendered life. Consider this then, a simple, tangible path forward, beginning this week. First, take time for silent reflection, not to condemn yourself, not to calculate guilt, but to prayerfully review your financial habits in light of your spiritual aspirations. Sit with your bank statements, your budget, your spending patterns. But don't just see numbers. See priorities. See where your energy flows. Ask yourself, quietly, honestly, does my ledger reflect my deepest longing for God? Does it align with the truth that heaven sees the heart? This isn't about judgment. It's about invitation. An invitation to bring your whole financial life into the light of His presence, allowing Him to reveal what truly matters. Second, seek out a quiet corner, a personal upper room, a space dedicated to honest conversation. It could be a specific chair, a moment before dawn, a walk in nature. Go there to pray specifically about your relationship with money and God. Invite Him, truly invite Him, to purify your motives, to expose any hidden anxieties, any lingering attachments, any subtle ways you've allowed the world's values to dictate your spiritual giving. This is a sacred, intimate act, a whispered vow not to an audience, but to the Almighty. It's about letting go of what you think you should give, and instead asking what He desires to receive from a heart fully yielded. What does a pure motive look like for you in your unique circumstances? And third, look for one discrete opportunity to give, not out of obligation, not because a plate is passed, not to check a box, but as a direct, loving response to a nudge from the Spirit. This could be your time, your talent, your treasure, perhaps a kind word to a struggling neighbor, a skill offered freely to someone in need, or a quiet, anonymous donation that no one but heaven will ever know about. Let your giving flow from a place of worship, from an overflow of gratitude, not from a sense of duty. This isn't about the size of the gift, it's about the source of the impulse. It's about aligning your actions with the quiet conviction that God isn't looking for your money, He's looking for you. This is a movement away from the noise, away from the endless debates and the clamor of custom. It's a journey towards the profound peace of His presence. A journey from convenience to the cross, from custom to a living, breathing presence that permeates every aspect of your life. It calls you to examine your ledger, not just of finances, but of priorities, to truly see where your treasure lies. Will you choose the quiet conviction over the clamor of custom? Will you open your hands and your heart completely, not just to give, but to receive the abundant life He offers? Because heaven sees the heart. It always has, it always will, and it beckons you to a holiness that shines not in grand displays, but in the quiet consistency of a surrendered life. This is about cultivating a life where every act of giving becomes a testimony to a heart truly surrendered, where your life becomes a living offering, a vibrant flame, burning brightly in the quiet corners of your existence. This path, these simple steps, are not a destination, but a continuous unfolding. They are an invitation to walk alongside others who yearn for this same authentic, purifying fire, to cultivate a life that echoes the truth that heaven never failed to know. To truly belong to the upper room call, to truly embrace this deeper understanding, is to step into this practice week after week, allowing it to reshape not just your giving, but your very being. This isn't just about a change in habit, it's a change in heart. It's about a sacred vow, whispered not to an audience, but to the Almighty. It's about letting your life be a living offering, a vibrant flame burning brightly in the quiet corners of your existence, forever echoing the truth that heaven never failed to know. This isn't merely about ticking off items on a spiritual checklist. It's about an internal recalibration, a profound shift in how you perceive your resources, your time, your very existence. When you embrace that silent reflection, that honest prayer, that discreet act of giving, you're not just performing an action, you're engaging in a conversation with the divine that reshapes your inner world, one quiet moment at a time. It's a journey that moves you beyond the visible ledger, beyond the measurable percentage, into the realm of the immeasurable, the eternal. The world screams for attention, for recognition, for measurable returns. It constantly demands that you prove your worth, your generosity, your spiritual commitment through outward displays. But the upper room call invites you into a different economy, one where value isn't determined by the applause of man, but by the quiet approval of heaven. You begin to understand that the truest generosity isn't what is seen, but what is deeply felt, deeply lived. It's the internal freedom from the pressure to perform, the liberation from the fear of not doing enough. It's the peace that comes from knowing that your acts of giving, however small, however hidden, are seen and cherished by the one who truly matters. Heaven sees the heart. This quiet consistency, this practice of surrendering your financial habits to prayerful review, of purifying your motives in a personal upper room, of giving discreetly as a direct response to the Spirit, it begins to reshape your perspective. The anxiety around money starts to recede, replaced by a profound peace. You realize that true security isn't found in your savings account, but in the unwavering faithfulness of the one who owns it all. You begin to see every resource not as something to hoard or fear losing, but as a sacred trust, an opportunity to participate in His divine economy. It's a truth that demands everything, not in a way that exhausts you, but in a way that purifies you. It asks you to release your grip on what you thought was yours, to open your hands wide, not just to give, but to receive a life far richer than any ledger could ever record. Because when your giving flows from a place of worship, from an overflow of gratitude for who He is, not just for what He's done, that's when it transcends mere transaction. That's when it becomes a living offering, a testimony. That's when it truly aligns with the profound truth that God isn't looking for your money, He's looking for you. You've been told to give. You've been shown the percentages. You felt the weight of expectation. But what if the deepest giving isn't measured in dollars, but in the quiet surrender of your will? What if the truest offering is not what you put into the plate, but what you release from your grip, what you yield from the core of your being? This isn't about legalism, it's about liberation. It's about discovering that the divine economy operates on principles of love, not on the cold calculations of obligation. You are called to a freedom that only comes when you truly understand that God isn't looking for your money, He's looking for you. This journey, this upper room call, is a movement away from the noise of performance and into the profound peace of His presence. It's a daily choice to live from a place of abundance, not scarcity, to give from an overflow of a grateful heart, not from a sense of duty. It's about cultivating a life where every act of giving becomes a testimony to a heart truly surrendered, where your life becomes a living offering. A vibrant flame, burning brightly in the quiet corners of your existence, forever echoing the truth that heaven never failed to know. This holiness, this quiet consistency, isn't about grand displays. It's about the small, unseen choices. It's about the shift from a transactional mindset to a transformational one. It's about allowing your heart to be so captivated by His love that giving becomes less about what you have to do and more about what you get to do. It's the difference between a duty reluctantly performed and a joy freely expressed. And in that joy, in that freedom, you discover the abundant life He offers, a life deeply rooted in trust, deeply surrendered to His will. Heaven sees the heart, and it is calling you to a profound alignment. This holiness, this quiet consistency, isn't about grand displays. It's about the small, unseen choices. It's about the shift from a transactional mindset to a transformational one. It's about allowing your heart to be so captivated by His love that giving becomes less about what you have to do and more about what you get to do. It's the difference between a duty reluctantly performed and a joy freely expressed. And in that joy, in that freedom, you discover the abundant life He offers, a life deeply rooted in trust, deeply surrendered to His will. Heaven sees the heart, and it is calling you to a profound alignment. You've been asked to consider a journey, to step beyond the superficial, to look past the clamor of custom. You've been invited to see your financial habits not as mere numbers, but as a reflection of your spiritual aspirations, to seek a quiet corner, a personal upper room where your motives can be purified, to find discreet opportunities to give, not out of obligation, but as a loving response to a divine nudge. These aren't just suggestions. They are invitations to a deeper way of living, a profound recalibration of your entire being. It's a movement away from the noise, towards the profound peace of His presence. It's a journey from convenience to the cross, from custom to a living, breathing presence that permeates every aspect of your life. This journey calls for a commitment, a sacred vow whispered not to an audience, but to the Almighty. Will you choose the quiet conviction over the clamor of custom? Will you open your hands and your heart completely, not just to give, but to receive the abundant life He offers? It's a call to examine your ledger, not just of finances, but of priorities, to truly see where your treasure lies. Because when your giving flows from a place of worship, from an overflow of gratitude for who He is, not just for what He's done, that's when it transcends mere transaction. That's when it becomes a living offering, a testimony. That's when it truly aligns with the profound truth that God isn't looking for your money. He's looking for you. This is the upper room call. It's not just a message to be heard. It's a life to be lived, a life where every act of giving becomes a testimony to a heart truly surrendered, where your life becomes a vibrant flame burning brightly in the quiet corners of your existence, forever echoing the truth that heaven never failed to know. If you are ready to make this commitment, to embrace this continuity, to let your life be a living offering, then in the comments below, type "Forever His." Let this be your declaration, a signal of your unwavering intention to walk this path of profound alignment, to live a life where your heart is fully yielded. And if this message has resonated with you, if it has brought a glimmer of clarity or a whisper of peace to your spirit, then let it reach others. Take a moment now to simply tap the like button. It's a quiet act, but a powerful one, enabling this truth to find those who are searching, those who are wrestling with the very questions you once held. If you desire to cultivate this kind of authentic, purifying fire, to walk alongside others who yearn for this same depth, then subscribe to the Upper Room Call. Activate the notifications. This isn't just about joining a channel. It's about agreeing to a weekly rhythm, a sustained pursuit of His presence, a community committed to unpacking what it truly means to live a surrendered life. It's a commitment to continuity, to practice, to growth. And finally, think of 1, 2, or even 3 people in your life who need to hear this message today. People who are caught in the noise, burdened by obligation, longing for a deeper truth. Share this video with them, not as a task, but as an act of genuine care, an invitation to liberation, a silent prayer that they too might discover the profound peace that comes from understanding that God isn't looking for their money. He's looking for them. Heaven sees the heart.